See that? This is what I was talking about earlier. So I wanted to come back on here and focus on this. The reason why this is a very heavy concept right now, what's going on with the Jupiter and the Saturn energy that's going to come together, is because of the fact that we're taking Jupiter, which actually represents this one, Temperance, right? And taking Saturn, which is represented by the Devil. Now, the crazy thing is that if I were to tell you in a same concept that Sagittarius energy is represented by Temperance and Capricorn energy is represented by the Devil, a lot of Capricorns would naturally get a little bit frustrated and wonder, why am I represented by the Devil? So that is the reason why, I'm sorry, my mom called me earlier, so I stopped the taping, but I wanted to get into why that is a big deal right now. So let's first talk about this concept of understanding the Capricorn energy and why it's connected so heavily to the Devil, okay? Capricorns, I mentioned this earlier, but Capricorns they can be the people that pretty much want to make sure that the family is taken care of, that everything is good, making sure that they're climbing the ladder. But then they can also be connected to this energy that is a little bit greedy. And when I say greedy, it's because it's this obsession with climbing this ladder, okay? And this is Sun, Moon, Rising, Capricorn. This is all of the Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. The reason why I say this is because I actually know a few Capricorns and also a Moon Capricorn, and I feel for you guys because there's a part of you that connects to this energy that needs to climb this ladder that is this never-ending ladder. You're never going to get to the top of this ladder, and you tell yourself that you are, and the reason why you do this is because you're connecting with that energy of, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can get that status, right? It connects to the status style of energy. Status is not everything. Status is not going to get you to feel comfortable within self. Status is not going to get you to heal your wounds. When I say comfortable and feeling self, a lot of you can also say that's not true because once I have the status, then I feel better. Yes, but it is a band-aid for the moment. Because true healing is going in deep and clearing out all that stuff that makes you feel like you need any type of status out in the physical world to get you to where you need to be on a spiritual level, right? That's something that's not necessarily needed. Something that's not needed for you to move forward spiritually, for you to ascend. Okay, so we're bringing this into this whole idea of how this connects to the Great Conjunction. So I mentioned earlier in the first video that we were talking about zombies, all right? And I want to be very careful how I say this because I'm not one of those people that try to claim to be woke to the point where now I'm calling everybody stupid or dumb or whatever. I know that I had a gentleman earlier when I was getting my emissions test out here in Arizona. He made a comment about the people that work in the motor vehicle, and Lord knows how much I cannot stand dealing with a lot of those people because of my personal experiences that I've had with people that work in that industry. However, at the same time, he made a comment and said, you know, it doesn't matter what state you go to, they're all stupid. Mind you, this gentleman also walked up to me and also told me that he couldn't take my, he couldn't do my emissions test because the hours had changed off of the different paper that was on the paper that the people from motor vehicle gave me. So instead of just, and I was only like a few minutes off, and he was really rude about it. And I said, you know, I know you guys have your new hours and it closes at 5 o'clock and it's 5:04. You can't like take me in at 5:04, like, and it takes 5 minutes for the test according to them. And then he made that comment. So my point is that I don't want to be one of those people that are like, oh, they're, you know, I'm so aware, so woke to the point where that like I can call other people zombies. That's not the goal that I have. But what I'm declaring as the definition of zombies is more so the fact of the people that are still trying to be almost like similar to that scene in Divergent where, you know, you have the people that are waking up and they're snapping out of this like systematic thing that the Dauntless had against the soldiers. They had this, you know, this screen going on where like it was forcing people to do things that were negative. it's almost like that, like the people that were waking up with that were divergent were like, hey, what is everybody doing, blah, blah, blah. It was a natural thing for those soldiers to go and attack the divergent, because the idea is that they couldn't conform. They couldn't be fit into a box. They couldn't change into this zombie figure according to sound frequencies and all this stuff that they're putting out. And the crazy thing about it is, like, this is our government system. Like, when you think about the media does very much so control the narrative. You know, whatever is put out onto the media is what we believe. Whatever is put into popular culture is what I believe. Information is easily accessible when you sign on to Instagram. But how many of these people actually, like, fact check what's happening? And I don't mean fact check by going to snoops.com or whatever. I'm talking about legit do research, legit fact check, compare notes, compare different origins, etc. There's not a lot of people that do that. And so, that being said, you know, even as simple as, like, the fact that things are getting shut down. Well, who did you vote for? You have to ask yourself those questions. Like, a lot of people don't know that stuff. Or, you know, there's so many systems and variations of things that people do not take time to research on, but have so much of an opinion on it. And when you think about it, is it your opinion, or is it your friend's opinion that posted something, that they reposted something from this page that had this opinion and this view on it? It's just so many diluted versions of information, and yet at the same token, when you try to present somebody with something that's not diluted, it's too potent. It's too potent for people to handle, because it's not formulating this, right? It's not getting into this. When you look at this card and you actually see what it represents and why it's such a serious concept, it's because you have this idea of the goat, right? It's typically the Baphomet, that's what it is. But in the sense, when you break it down, it's the idea of the goat, right? It doesn't really have much power because of the sense that these chains are actually very loose. They're loose. They can be broken into. Now let's take a look at this other opposite end of card that is very similar but very different in concept when you look at the Lovers card. Do you see the freedom that's underneath this? There's so much freedom in this. It represents love. It represents freedom. It represents exploration, experience, right? Now, realistically speaking, that this card actually connects more so to Gemini energy, which is still interesting because when we have Sagittarius energy with the new moon being in Sagittarius, which I will get into more of the Temperance card, but the new moon being in Sagittarius is very heavy because Sagittarius and Gemini are opposites, right? Now, interesting enough, too, when you take a look at these two cards of Temperance, which represents Sagittarius, and you take a look at it with the Gemini energy, the idea of this Temperance energy is that it's taking two sides and it's formulating it together. It's merging it together. And there's a natural balance that's there. There's patience. There's balance. This is supposed to actually represent the idea of Archangel Michael. So if you look him up, he really stands for, like, that angel that's really supposed to connect with the intuitive side of self and supposed to be somebody that takes care of what we really need in our life. And there's so many other things. I mean, he is definitely the savior angel of all, like, the angels. I mean, all of them are very valuable, but Michael stands out very heavily when it comes to connecting with that balance energy. And it's the idea of taking two sides of the world and mixing them together and formulating a certain potion where it's creation and balance, right? So the idea is this: when you take all of these together, okay, and I'm including this Gemini energy because we also just had a full moon in Gemini as well. And then you take this aspect of the Devil, okay? Now that they're side by side, two events that occurred previously and now an event that's also joining, which is going to be that Jupiter, the Saturn is going to be joining Jupiter, right? In the conjunction. Do you see how these two energies might need to mix a little bit together to understand each other? Does that make a lot of sense? Because I think so. There's this understanding that we have in culture where it has to do with, you know, one thing is bad, one thing is good, one thing is black, one thing is white, one thing is up, one thing is down. But when you take an understanding of that, let's just even pull out the black and white thing. There's none of them are bad. Neither of them. They're not bad, right? Up and down, it's not necessarily bad. It's the energy that you put into it. But I want to talk about these cards necessarily too because it's a yin and yang factor, okay? Let's look at what we talked about earlier with Jupiter and then with Saturn and how this is going to create that type of balance, okay? Number one, this is heavy. This is a main thing right now that's going on a lot in the dynamics of things, right? Governmental systems, things that are above, right? And yet they're not sharing below what's above. They are, but they aren't. In the sense of, as above, right, you have this figure here that's supposed to represent this devil energy, right? This is supposed to represent that, and then it's ruling these two figures here. Okay, these two figures are very much so connecting with the energy of choice. They're choosing to be in the situation because they can snap these off really fast. Okay, talked about that in the previous video. In some cases, yes, slavery is a choice. These two figures right here are choosing to be in the situation, all right? Now, this is the major thing here. This is what's happening a lot in our culture because you have somebody that's at corporation or somebody that's at some power at B that's controlling the narrative for these people down here. And although they're still burning within, okay, there's still fire aspects to it. They're still burning within. There's this obsession with this higher energy. I am being honest. It's an obsession with higher energy. The reason why is because how many times have you heard a person, it's so much easier for them to sign on a Craigslist or go onto Indeed or any type of website to try to sign up to work for somebody, but they don't know how to work for themselves, right? Back in the day, there was no working for somebody. You had a craft, that you had a job, you had a specific thing, whether you were a shoemaker, whether you, were a banker, right? They even had, when it came to credit lines, as much as I've been searching credit lately, but they have even had bankers that would specifically be the writers of the bank, and they would go and like monitor the person that's trying to have a loan, and they would kind of judge them based off of what they're wearing, where they live, etc. It wasn't even about credit at one point. It was just more so about lending from the bankers. But my point is that they had a job. There was so many different people with purposes and with jobs and with different things, farmers, etc. Like, now we live in a world where everybody, like, not everybody, but a lot of people work for someone, and it's a corporation, and this corporation is in control of what that person gets paid, what they take home for their family, etc. There's a control mechanism here. Now, this is the idea. I mentioned this earlier, okay? When you have somebody that is controlled, it becomes the variation of host, parasite, okay? Boss, worker. Do you get my drift? It's like a person only can get so far when someone else gives them that privilege, when someone else gives them that power, okay? So that being said, that's been a dynamic that has happened a lot in our culture because we are obsessed with this idea that there has to be some power that's above, some power that knows this knowledge that we don't know, okay? You can do something as simple as, I don't know, perfect example, you have a cold. You feel a cold coming on, right? You feel that you're sneezing or whatever, that like maybe it even feels like allergies, but there's some power at B that's telling you that there's some virus going around. And so now your mind has downloaded and processed that you might have this virus. That's as quick because everything around you is surrounding that. Now, not for nothing, but you can make yourself even sicker. You can actually develop having a virus or some sort because your mind has told itself that you have this virus. That is the way that this works. And on top of it, that is not just, I'm not saying that the coronavirus is only that and that it's not. I mean, I'm not going into detail of my opinion, but my point is that that can work for so many different things. So let's take a smaller aspect of, let's say that you do really well at your job. You're putting in 100%. Yes, you may not be doing every single thing that they may ask on point because maybe you're focusing on things in a whole, right? Maybe you have a certain direction of what you're doing. So the pace that they're actually expecting from what they think that you should get things done, they're not noticing on what you're actually getting done, right? So that being said, there's some power at B that's judging you and telling you what you're supposed to be doing, even though you might be doing it your own way. It might be different than what they would have done it, but it's still getting done. There's a power at B that's telling you it's not good enough. And so now it trickles down to this effect of here where now you think in your mind that you're not good enough, that the things you do are not good enough. And without that responsible confidence, and I say responsible confidence because it's a responsibility to have confidence. It's nobody's job but yourself to make sure that you have that confidence. Nobody's supposed to make you have confidence. That's on you. Everyone is coming here. They're all in a rat race trying to figure things out, right? And I say rat races because everybody's like trying to figure out what this all is. And some people don't care and they're just in this very robotic mind frame, right? But everybody's trying to figure things out. And then it's like, at the end of the day, here you go. You have somebody tell you you're not good enough. It's up to you to decide whether that's true or not, right? Outside those four walls of the person that rules this four walls, right? Those four walls, and they tell you you're not good enough. If you go outside of that, you might be great doing something else, being a part of something else. But the one thing that somebody cannot take away from you is your purpose. Nobody can take your purpose away. They can't rule you like this. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. If you find love for self, right? Right here. And I say this because of that full moon in Gemini. It's when you pull the arrow back, okay? Pulling the arrow back is the part of you that's going to be pulling that's the new moon where the arrow has not really been touched yet. You write your intentions, you write what you expect, right? As you're pulling the arrow back during that process of the moon changing, once you get to the full moon, it's pulled back, it's stepped forward, and then you release it. Having the full moon in Gemini, which is loving energy, right? This is Gemini. Having it in Gemini, loving energy, that was our last full moon. And then now we're going into this aspect of, then we had the new moon, okay, in Sagittarius. Trying to find this balance, trying to find this understanding between two concepts, right? Trying to find this understanding between the masculine and feminine energy. Because that's what this is all about. It's about taking masculine and feminine energy. No, it's not. When I say masculine and feminine energy, I'm not talking about, this is not, and I don't take this away from people that are in the process of gender neutral. That's not what I'm saying, but this is not about that. And that drives me crazy when people relate masculine and feminine energy to gender neutral. Two different things. Because the problem in society, in my personal experience, and what I feel like is the problem in society, is the fact that we're so focused on gender. We need to be focused more so on the gender aspect is just for birthing purposes. That's it. We need to be focused on all connecting to our masculine and feminine energy. Okay? We're not even talking about gender. I'm not saying take out the gender X, Y. No, because a male and a female sex organ can create what it creates. That's the end of it. It doesn't matter if you change your gender. That's what it creates. I'm not talking about that. I'm specifically saying that masculine and feminine energy, stripping away gender roles and focusing more on balance within self, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's about that. And that is what we're trying to do here. That is what we're trying to create, right? But then if you have this aspect of this coming in, all right, that is the enslavement of masculine and feminine energy. That is the enslavement. That is the lower thinking where it needs to turn into a gender role concept. It doesn't have to. It doesn't. Strip it. Strip all of that. Let's focus on the masculine and feminine because everyone has it within them. Let's not get distracted by the gender role thing. Let's focus on masculine energy being what does, feminine energy being what is. When you can find an understanding between that balance of all of that, that's when you can get out of this and focus on this. That is when you could do both. You have to bring the loving side, okay, and the shadow side that's not normally heard. So a lot of us are doing shadow work right now. A lot of us are digging in deep to seeing, what is my other side saying? What is the side of me that doesn't necessarily get a chance to come forward? That Lilith side of me, right? Do some research on Lilith, the suppression that a lot of us go through, of the feminine side that we're ignoring. That's not even just men, that's females too. That's why I say it has nothing to do with the other thing, because we are getting distracted by the gender factor. Let's focus on just the masculine and feminine. The fact that there are even women that suppress the side of them that is the intuitive self, the side of them that wants to just be, the wild side of them that doesn't want to be tamed. I'm not talking about the side of them that's going to go out, do drugs, have sex with this person, that, the wild. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the part that wants to just be in itself. The part that wants to discover itself, that wants to heal properly, that wants to go inward, be it's in itself, in its wildest self. Be the self that doesn't have to be necessarily told what to do in a masculine form, right? Masculine energy is doing things. It is more Mars energy. It is more the energies that even Libra it could be as well. Like it's the cardinal energy of going and getting things done. The game starter. But when you look at the idea of how the feminine energy can very much so be suppressed in that way when you're always going. I mean, I'm from the East Coast. I can tell you this. East Coast vibes, everything is going, getting things done, going. It is not focused on just being. So when you are not focusing on just being, you are denying yourself of your feminine energy. And that in itself is something that we need to work on. But bringing all of the things together, bringing the loving energy, the side of us that we show out into the open, Gemini energy. We show this side to other people, right? This is the energy that we show to other people. This is the energy that we give off to other people. It's the surface side of self. You talk to a Gemini, there's a lot of Geminis that will not open up to who they really are. They won't. They'll show all these different sides of them. I mean, that's the reason why they have the mask as the concept of who they are, because it's the idea of showing a mask. Because they don't want you to reach deep because it's scary and it makes them feel and they want to think, and that doesn't work, right? You can't think about your feelings. You could think about them, it could scare you, but it's very hard to turn your feelings into thoughts, right? So it's this heavenly version of self. It's this loving version of self that you portray to the public, but that shadow side is the side that's going to eventually want to find controlling aspects because it's not being heard. So this is what I asked to you guys. What part of you is not being heard? Because the only reason why, okay? Because devil is not, I can't even explain this any more than what it is. The devil is not a spirit or person that's going to come and haunt you. That's not the thing. The devil is an energy and everybody can have it. And you have to ask yourself, what side are you suppressing from self? What information are you not showing, that you're not giving up, that you're not allowing yourself to go through the healing processes that's turning into a jealous rage? Because that's what happens, right? When we talk about earlier about these zombies and the people that are against people that are waking up and starting to pick up the pieces and be like, hey, I need to work for myself, or I need to do this, or I need to get this done for myself and my family and the dreams that I have. Those people that are not with it, that are like, I'm going to make this person's life a living hell because they get to do something that I haven't freed myself from. Devil energy. And all of us can have it. All of us can be jealous of someone else's success. All of us can be also jealous of someone else's contentancy. I think that's the word. I don't know. But being content, you can be jealous of someone being content. Why not? Because you're not content. You're not okay with just that particular situation, and that person is, and that bothers you. I can say that. I've had jealousy issues according to the fact that there's some people that are willing to just work for a company and be another number. And I'm not saying every company is like this, but I'm talking about those higher end corporations that do not give a shit about you as an individual. You're just another number. That's what I'm talking about. Not saying that anytime you work for somebody, it's bad. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if they don't want to individually know who you are and feel like you match exactly what the concept is and you fit in your own individual way, like you most likely are just a number. And that being said, anybody that's wanting to fit within that box of being that person and that they are looking at and they can't be anything outside of it, they're going to stomp on you if you try to break out of that. But there are people that I've also been jealous of because they're content with being in that situation. And me, I need more. I need more. And it's not easier for me in that case. It's easier for people that are into this because this is all over the world. This enslavement is everywhere. It's literally in our corporations and the food we eat, our social media, the shit's everywhere. This idea of having this higher end and we just sit there and just listen to every aspect of it. This shit is everywhere. And having this be what's happening during the Great Conjunction, these two meeting each other, I mean, it's almost as if Temperance is like, bro, this is enough. Sorry, I got caught off there for a second. We're meshing things together, right? We're bringing love and we're bringing it all together, right? I'm sorry, I pulled up the wrong card. Temperance is saying this is too much. No, we're not going to just worry about just you. It's not just about you. We're bringing all the things together. We're bringing the shadow side. We're bringing the parts of us that feel like we need some type of control. Because sometimes we do. It's easier to have control. It's easier to not have to pick why something doesn't work for us, why things are not going in our right direction, right? It's easier to fall back on this. It's easier to say, well, I'm trying to start my business, but I don't have enough money to do X, Y, and Z. I don't have enough of this to do this or this to do whatever. I'm just going to go on Craigslist and I'm going to figure it out, right? It's easier. And so many of us fall into this because of it. You can't do that right now. Not during the Great Conjunction. Shit is going to be real. Shit's going to start waking up. And the balance is a whole nother thing right now. A whole nother thing. So my main point to you right now, and to bring that all into a conclusion, is mainly to focus on the fact of this. You're going to get a lot of people as you wake up. Even watching this. If you've stayed through this, watching this, it's because it taps to some part of you, right? It taps to some area of you. And you're going to get a lot of confusion. Because the people that you think are on your side, a lot of them are going to be battling against you. And it's not them. It's that ego side that they're fighting their ego. They're fighting the side of them that is freedom for them. So you being the mirrored image, you being the person that's also like in the presence and being, they see that you're becoming free. Don't be surprised if they start fighting you. Because they're not fighting you. They're fighting them. They're fighting them. And you're just the person that's in the way. You're just the person that is the mirrored image. I can't say this enough. I've never had someone explain what I was going through so much from not finding the right salon at one point. And she basically said to me, you intimidate people. And I literally said to her, mind you, I'm like, I don't say anything. I was specifically instructed by somebody that is in that type of field of just shut up and do your job. Just don't say anything. Just say yes to everything and just don't say anything. And that's exactly what I did. I didn't say anything. And guess what? Once I literally said that to her, well, I don't say anything, so how would I intimidate someone? And she said, you don't have to. Your energy, your aura, everything about it makes somebody look at themselves, and not everybody is comfortable with that. Oh, well, that doesn't really solve my problem because I'm quiet. Other times I've actually said my opinion. It doesn't work. The reason why I'm telling you this is because you are going to naturally intimidate somebody if you have a purpose and someone is not feeling the fact that you get out of something that they are enslaved in. It is not going to be a thing. They are going to continuously fight you because the ego side of them doesn't want balance. It wants everybody to go down with them. That's what the parasitic side of the concept of the devil is, right? The parasitic ends. It breeds off of anything that it can feed off of. And what not better to feed off of than energy that can stand on its own? Energy that doesn't need to be validated by anybody else. It just is confident. It has responsible confidence. It doesn't need to be validated. But what I will tell you is that during this time frame, you have to keep your head up because there's going to be a lot more people waking up. And the best idea that I can give you is to understand that you can use this pandemic to go towards your success. You just have to be faithful and you have to have so much trust in the universe, because whatever is meant to be is going to be. It's not about these little twinkling stars all the time. It's on the back of the thing and it looks pretty in the memes and everything else. No, it's true. You are a star. You are created for the particular reason that you're created for. You have a purpose, and there is nobody in this world that has the same purpose as you for 200,000 years by astrology purposes. You have a point in this world, and if you allow yourself to really flourish, you will. All right. I just wanted to add that on to my last video, and love you guys and talk to you soon. I still am going to post a video that I had for Facebook Live, so look out for that. But other than that, you have a beautiful night. And if you guys have any relative stories, don't hesitate to message me, because I would love to hear them, and your comments and all that stuff that has to do with the videos, any type of criticism even. I appreciate it, and I really look forward to those messages. So have a nice night. Love you. Bye.